am minister, mental health, and trauma coach, Terlisa Gardley Brown, and we are coming into the most wonderful time of the year, with it being Thanksgiving, Christmas, as well as New Year's. So, as we come upon the holidays, many of us, we are fortunate enough to have family and friends to spend this time with. But at the same time, this is one of the most sensitive times of the year because a lot of people are going to be dealing with a lot of different emotions. And on the flip side, the suicide and depression, anxiety, worry, and stress have a tendency of increasing around this time. So today I just wanted to talk a little bit about depression, and I also wanted to say about the things you don't say to a person that may be experiencing an emotional breakdown or have an emotional moment. First thing I want to say is it is okay not to be okay. I know in our society we've been taught to fake it until you make it, push through what you're going through. We've always heard suck it up, buttercup. We've heard a lot of different phrases when it comes to dealing with the heaviness and feeling overwhelmed. But the fact is, if you continuously to push things down, it is going to become a boiling pot and eventually bubbles over. So, depression is not laziness and is not weakness. A person that is experiencing depression, they truly are not themselves. So, if you start to see a change in a person's personality, or you start to see they're coming into work a little bit later and they were early bird, you may feel that you've reached out to them time and time again and they're not responding back to you. There is an instance where they just feel like they don't want to be bothered with anybody. They're pushing away a lot of the people that they love because of the embarrassment or the shame of how they are feeling or what they are experiencing at that time. I want to mention that this thing can be complicated because there is no snapshot approach or no instant solution many a times with people that are dealing with depression. I can tell you from personal experience, I was dealing with functional depression, meaning that I was able to get up every day, get myself together, take care of my responsibilities, handle everything that needed to be handled, but still was feeling the cares of the world, still was feeling the overwhelmness, feeling that I was not giving enough to the different situations that needed my immediate attention. So I want you to know that as we think about the functioning depression, it's not something you could just look at somebody and say, oh yeah, they're going through something. A lot of times when a person is functioning, the fact is it's almost like they're living two different lives or two different faces, because you are seeing them every day and they are smiling, they are engaging, they are doing what they need to do. They may even be overachievers in essence. So you're finding that when it comes to work performance, they're there to get their jobs done, and then they're there to help other people. When they are out with their family, they are very happy. They seem to be bubbly. But when they get in their car and when they get home, that is when the reality of the heaviness begins to take place. So, what does people that deal with depression, what are some of the feelings and the emotions that they seem to have to go through a lot? One I want to talk about is a loss of interest, which I kind of mentioned. So maybe there were activities or things that they really like to participate in. You're finding that they're slowly not engaging in those activities anymore. You're finding that they do not have an interest. You may ask them about it and they might say, well, no, I don't have time. I don't feel like it. I'm not into it anymore. That is a red flag. The other is the feeling of sadness. You can almost look at their demeanor and their personality if you're a discerning individual, and you can tell something just is not right. Something is, and you'll find that it might even weigh on you a little bit. Like, your countenance is a little bit different. How many of you can honestly say that you've been around somebody and you be like, you know what, something is a little off with that person. And majority of the time, they're not just going to come out and tell you what they are experiencing and what they're dealing with. So that's when we start praying in the spirit and asking God, Lord, whatever is going on with them, I ask that you would help them. I ask that you would intervene. I ask that you would give them joy and peace and understanding. Lord, I ask that you would begin to fill them up with your hope, God, and whatever the void is, that you would fill it. Because when we ask God to get in the midst of it, we know that the prayers of the righteous avail us much, and God can do way more than we can do. The other is the trouble sleeping or oversleeping. So you'll find that what ends up happening with the trouble sleeping is because we're having the ruminating thoughts. So it's one thought after another thought after another thought, and you just feel like you cannot catch a break. Finally, when you go to sleep, it's 2 or 3 in the morning. That alarm clock is going off at 5 or 6 or 7. You're functioning on 3 to 4 hours of sleep, which leads to irritability and frustration. And you find that you just short-tempered. Like anybody can get it at any given time because you are not operating in your full capacity because you have not had enough sleep. It could also be oversleeping. You have an individual that's like rise and shine, a morning person. They always get to the job beforehand. They ready to rock and roll. You might even have a person that's around. You be like, can you please turn your energy down a notch? That type of person. But you're noticing now in their patterns, they don't have that energy. You're finding that they're dragging into work. You can tell that there's a difference in their countenance and in their behavior. That is a sign of depression. The other is difficulty thinking. So you might have someone that's precise, somebody that's sharp. They on the go all the time, but they make things happen. And all of a sudden, when you're talking to them, they can't quite get their thoughts together. Or as you are talking to them about whatever it is, where you always notice the sharpness in them. You notice how they're able to bounce back with responses. It's taking them a minute. It's almost like they're having a brain fog and conversation is a little bit delayed. The other one is just feeling lost, just feeling out of sorts. Don't know which way to go. Even the day-to-day responsibilities that you have, getting up and taking care of business, it's just like everything is out of sort. Going to the store, you get there and your memory, especially with your short-term memory, it's not functioning. So things that you could remember, I'm going to the store, I'm picking up this, I'm picking up that, I need to go get gas, I got to go and do something for the children. It's almost like you just draw a complete blank. You aren't able to process things, and you're finding that you have to write things down a little bit more frequently. And you just have no energy to do anything. You wish you could stay in the bed 24/7. Look, today I just want to stay in the bed and pull the covers over and I talk to you guys. Tomorrow I'll deal with this. These are some signs of depression, not to mention death or suicide ultimately, because the cares of the world can feel so heavy sometimes. And when you have dealt with one blow after another blow after another blow, there was a young man that played for the NFL and he lost his mom and Lord knows what he was dealing with, and he unalived himself. So I'm sure that many of us have heard about this story, but here's a young man who had a promising career, but he was grieving, he was hurting, he was going through things. And who would have thought that even in the middle of this, that he would have taken his own life? So that goes to show you that depression does not care about your salary bracket. Depression does not care about the community that you live in. Depression does not care about your family status or the title that you may have. It hits everybody, and it could be you. But by the grace of God, we're going to pray that God is going to intervene and help you out of whatever you're experiencing. Depression is silent and it's very subtle, meaning that 1 minute you could feel like you are on top of the world. Everything is going well. And the next, you could feel like you are completely unworthy. You could feel guilty. You can have emotions of not being enough. Sometimes you'll find that depression wants to trap you in your past. So it always wants to keep you connected to the things that you didn't do right, the mistakes that you may have made, the should have, the could haves, the I don't know what I was thinking. Why did I overstay my welcome in certain situations? Why am I still at this dead end job? They don't recognize who I am. I'm at the glass ceiling of my pay scale, but yet I'm still here. It's going to have you feel like you are in a victim mentality. So it's one of those things where you start feeling sorry for yourself. Why me? Why am I going through this? You may even put yourself in the spectrum of comparing yourselves to other people that are in your age bracket, or people that you may have went to school with, or folks that you work with. You're looking at your life and you're looking at their life, and things are just not adding up. So now you start having the pity party, and you start feeling bad because you feel like you're not measuring up. And when those moments happen, that's when we have to turn the tables in our mind and start thinking of, I may not be there, but I'm going to thank God and celebrate God for where I am right now. I could have been dead and gone. I could have been a person that battled addiction, and I've come out of that. There could be instances in your life where there have been wins, but maybe you feel like because they weren't consecutive wins, or they wasn't big wins, that you didn't stop to celebrate that thing. So the best way to interrupt a negative thought is by thinking of a positive one. And even if you have to prepare yourself by getting a notebook and writing down your wins, writing down the things that you have accomplished, sometimes the biggest win is the fact that you got out of bed today. The biggest win could be you were able to put a little makeup on, or you might have wanted to wear your favorite cologne today. Man, the biggest win is maybe you want to get up and you want to get a little bit more dressed up. You may want to stop and get your favorite coffee or your favorite tea. We have to find a way in the little things that make us feel good, so that we will not allow the negative thoughts to overtake our thought process. And let me tell you, negativity seems like it is so easy to get in, because all around us we see negativity on the news, negativity on the job, negativity in your family, negativity with the kids, negativity in your community. I mean, negativity is like, it's haunting sometimes. And we have to actually pursue happy thoughts, guys. We have to pursue, I want to feel good today. We got to be purposely happy. We got to be purposely putting ourselves in a position that I want to have happy thoughts today, because the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy. But Jesus said he comes that we may have life and have it more abundantly. So that tells me that the enemy is going to do his job. But now I have to rely on the word of God that gives me peace, that gives me joy, that gives me wisdom and understanding. So when I am transformed by the renewing of my mind, I am not getting caught up in the negativity. When someone calls me and they're experiencing some challenges in their life, I am not going to connect their situation to my situation. I am not going to allow the peace that I have worked on in this day to be demised because somebody has cut me off in traffic, or I'm in a grocery store and someone jumps in line in front of me. I am not going to allow my children that I have raised and given them the best that I have, and now they are facing the consequences of their decisions that you may have advised them against. Now you're finding that they're ringing your phone and it's bringing your mood down. So we have to be purposefully about our peace. We have to be purposely about our happiness and make that decision. No, not only not today, but never, because the joy of the Lord is my strength. And as I find joy, I'm going to have strength, because if I have joy, I'm happy, and I'm not going to continue to relate back to or go back to the things that are making me upset. I'm not going to continue to rehearse and replay the things that are causing me to be interrupted in my mind. So as we look at this thing with depression, I want you to know that sometimes it's situational, being that there might be triggers that can inspire these things, and a holiday is definitely a trigger. But maybe, just maybe, something on television. There was something in the Chicagoland area where a young mother was walking her children to school and got jumped by children, believe it or not. And I was thinking about something like that could be a trigger if someone dealt with bullying or someone dealt with abuse coming up as a child. That could be a trigger if you watch that on television, which could also take you down the road of depression, and then fear can set in. We have to be very, very, very mindful of our gates, especially when you are at heightened alert in your emotions. So we have to be mindful of the things that we watch, be mindful of the things that we hear, and even be mindful of the people that are around you, that are in your circle, because unknowingly, a lot of people, they have a tendency of focusing on the negative. That's why it's so important that you are around people that are positive, people that are surely saved, people that are able to pray and that are around you and can discern things so that they can operate in wisdom and help you come out of it. Because sometimes when it hits hard, and baby, it hits heavy. And sometimes it takes the prayers of someone else that have experienced that you can actually go to talk to them about what you are experiencing. Because if a person has never experienced this thing, just say for instance that right now we are in a spiritual shift, and you are battling in your emotions. You might be battling in your mind. You're battling in what it is God is telling you to do, and you're wrestling in your flesh. That's a spiritual thing that's happening. And because there's a lack of fulfillment that may be going on with you, depression can set in. And then you start thinking that you're not enough. You don't have what it takes. Did God really call me to this? Why is it so hard? There are things that are outside of our realms that are happening that could also be hindering us and causing us to go into the heaviness and feeling overwhelmed. We don't talk enough about lifestyle changes. How work is something where maybe you were promoted and it's too much, and now you've decided to take a step back, and now you're dealing with your pride. Or maybe you decided to take another position, and that position is more fulfilling in regards to your purpose, but the math ain't mathing, and now you're looking at your bills and you like, Lord, I need to make a way. That could cause depression. It could be also some unhealthy habits that you may have. Maybe you are getting up and you're rushing and you're not giving yourself enough time to prepare for your day, and now you're making mistakes unnecessarily, and you are feeling some type of way about what you're doing. There are so many external factors that contribute to this. It could be the grief, you losing a loved one. I just lost my uncle, my favorite uncle. And now you're like, man, the holidays coming and uncle used to do this or he used to do that. So, or it could be your mom or somebody really, really close to you. And now you're like, how do I get through this season where I'm so used to them being around me? So as we look at that, I'm asking God now to touch your heart, your soul, and your mind, and that he will be your comfort. God says to look to the hills from which cometh our help, because all of our help comes from him. And I thank you. He said that the righteous, he's a strong tower, and that the righteous can run in and feel safe. There is something about the safety and the security of God when you're feeling you're not enough. There is something wonderful when you're feeling a moment of brokenness and God is able to come in and he gives you a supernatural reassurance that everything is going to be all right. And I speak that supernatural reassurance over you right now in the name of Jesus. But as we think about you encountering people day to day, what you don't say to them, because mama and daddy always told us if you don't have anything good to say, y'all know the rest, you don't say anything at all. The first I want to say, you never belittle a person in their feelings. So you never tell them you should be over that. It doesn't take all of that. What is your problem? Why do you keep going back and forth? I thought you was healed from that. Those things already make a person feel some type of way in their emotions. That's why a lot of people that deal with depression and stress and overwhelm, they don't talk because they have people like this that's going to remind them of why they feel it. A person that's experiencing this already feel what you're talking about. They already have that sense of guilt, that sense of fear, that sense of shame. They're already battling with the thoughts of what they should be and where they not. The last thing they need is for you to remind them of how they already feel. So if you can't encourage, if you cannot inspire, if you can't take them by the hand and say, you know what, I'm just going to be an ear to hear what it is you have to say, then keep your mouth closed. Seriously. The other is, if a person calls you and they're talking to you about the things that are very near to their heart, I realize you might have the best intentions in the world. Don't tell nobody what they tell you. Keep that thing to yourself. If you feel that they are going to endanger their lives, or you feel that something is going on, then you call and you get the authorities involved. But don't go around telling nobody's business. And this is really bad because people be like, oh, I'm going to pray for you. Then they get on the phone and call their prayer circle, and you have someone in that prayer circle that's not really saved, and they still need deliverance from the spirit of gossip. So now they're telling everybody outside of the prayer circle of what's going on with somebody. So now it gets back to them and they looking at you funny because you should have shut up. So in actuality is when they feel like they want to come and talk to you about it, just be a listening ear. You will always hear me say, people heal when they reveal. Sometimes it's not about your 2 cents. It's not about your advice. It's not about what you would do if you were in a situation. It's just about being present in the moment with them and giving them a free space and a safe space to voice what they are feeling, so that now it's off of them and now they're able to receive what it is that they need in terms of healing and deliverance. The other I want to mention is when they are in a position and you're feeling like heaviness. So you are around them and you feel the heaviness. A lot of times it's not, you don't have to go to them and be like, hey, you know what, you heavy today. What's going on with you? You don't have to address that. But what you can do is grab them by their hand, if they will allow you in their space, and begin to pray whatever it is God is telling you to pray. When we are praying and we are led by the Spirit of God, God is going to lead you directly to what it is that needs to be said to help that thing be broken off their lives in the Spirit. Many of the times when we are around people, we are so much operating in our flesh that we're not able to right then and there pick up on it. And then when you're at home in your private time and you're praying for them, it's like an aha moment, an epiphany, and you like, that's what's going on. Even if that happens, go directly into prayer. Start praying for them in your heavenly language, because you don't know what's on their mind, but God does. So now you're starting to break down the strongholds of depression, and you're breaking the heaviness that they may feel. If you're led to call them, you call them and you talk to them, and you don't even have to say, oh, we big on this, well, the Lord told me and God said this. No, you don't have to say any of that. You were on my mind today. I was calling to check on you. Is there anything you want to talk about? I noticed that you have not been yourself lately. Are you okay? Is there anything that I can do for you? How can I be of service to you? I realize this time of the year it's a little complicated for you. How about you come over? Let's go have lunch. Let's go have tea. Let's go have breakfast. Let's go to McDonald's. Whatever you need to do, but show that you are present for them, because even though they may say no and they may decline your offer, at least they know that it is somebody out there that's thinking about them. And when they feel that things are too heavy for them, they know that they can call you and that you are a genuine soul in the spirit. The last thing I want to mention, when people are on your mind, they are on your mind for a reason. Reach out to them, text them, call them. Send them a prayer. Sometimes if you go to Google or you go to Pinterest, you can type in different prayers and you send them a prayer, or you let them know that you was thinking about them. If they don't respond, if they don't answer, if they don't call you back, it's okay. But at least, again, they see that someone is caring about them. Too many times people will come on our mind and then months later or days later, and then when something happens, it was like, man, they were on my mind. I didn't call them. I didn't talk to them. I should have done this. I should have done that. Don't allow that should have done, would have done to be your story. Reach out to them. And don't get offended if they don't call you right back. Don't get offended if they don't respond to your text message. Just continually pray and to show that support, and they will reach out to you when they are ready. Guys, let's just take a moment as we start to look into this season, and many of us are grateful, but there are so many people that are less fortunate than we are. Be a blessing to them. As we look into this season, and you know that there's people that may be struggling, their emotions, they may have just lost a loved one, lost a job, a loss of things causes grief. Loss of something you love causes grief and heaviness, and it's also a void that's there. Let's just take time and pray for one another, love on one another, reconnect with people that you haven't talked to in a long time. Let's show the love of Christ to those that are around us, because you never know who it could be. It could be their day today, but it could be your day tomorrow. My name is Minister, Mental Health and Trauma Coach Terlisa Gardley Brown. Thank you so much for tuning in to Mental Health with Terlisa. Be blessed.